Are you wondering whether or not you will actually be successful in life? Are you questioning yourself and your progress, and do you ever think, will I actually make it? Well, I'm gonna give you the 7 really revealing secrets of successful people, the tells, the signs that show you whether or not someone is going to succeed in their life, in their career, in their relationships, and in life in general. So here they are. Tell number 1 is that you're not afraid to look for help. Whether that's Googling it, looking up a YouTube video, or actually getting coaching, going to a seminar, reading a book. Successful people, they don't sit there and think about how bad their problems are and how everything's unfair and nothing's gonna work for them. They actually go out and they find solutions. And they're not afraid to ask for help. They really don't mind getting somebody else's expert opinion or input to help them resolve whatever they're going through. Because for them, it's not about trying to look cool or be this high and mighty person that can fix every problem and never needs any help and they can do it all themselves. It's about getting from point A to point B as fast as possible, as efficiently as possible, really. And that can only happen when you seek out help. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Whether it's the people around you or somebody way outside your circle of influence. And even through a book, through a video like this, find help for whatever your problems are so that you can resolve them way quicker. Now, the second tell really is about problem solving. It's really that successful people, they find solutions and they focus on solutions rather than getting obsessed and worried and thinking too much about the problem. They don't give a lot of attention and time and energy to actually speculating, wondering, projecting into the future, trying to guess what will happen. They don't do a lot of that because they know that that doesn't actually lead to any kind of success. That leads to you being stuck in your life and not moving forward. So it's about being solutions oriented and solution oriented rather than problem oriented. Rather than focusing on what's wrong, they focus on what can I do to fix it. So that's the second tell. The third tell is that they surround themselves with other like-minded individuals that see similar visions, have similar goals, and really want to help them achieve what they're going after. If you're surrounded by a bunch of people that are naysayers, people that tell you that you'll never make it, your goals are just stupid, you shouldn't even try it, what's the point anyway, you'll never live your dream, then it's not very likely that you'll succeed because you're constantly being pulled down to their level and you're going to always struggle. But when you surround yourself with people that are like-minded, they have similar goals, they have a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset, it becomes way easier because now you grow with them and they help you and you help them, and it's a beautiful exchange. So that's tell number 3. Tell number 4, sign number 4 that you'll be a successful person is that you complain very, very little. Successful people don't spend a lot of time talking about what's wrong. Again, this comes back to the second one, being solutions-oriented rather than problem-oriented. But really, they don't say that, oh, this sucks, this is bad, this is wrong, oh, these things are horrible, I don't like this and I don't like that, and this person, they screwed me over and I'm not happy with this person's performance. They just don't do that because it doesn't work. It doesn't do anything. Complaining never leads to any kind of resolution. So they just drop it all together and instead focus on, again, the solution. What can I do about it? Not how can I talk shit about somebody. The fifth tell, the fifth secret of a successful person or a sign that somebody will be successful is that they're not afraid to take risks. They're not afraid to go out, take a leap of faith, and really just trust themselves to produce the result that they want. Even if they fail, even if they don't succeed at first, they keep taking risks and challenging themselves and going out of their comfort zone because they know that's the only way they will ever grow. And the sixth tell is very in alignment to that. It's actually being willing to fail. Fail time and time again, over and over, day in and day out, until you finally win. as I've said before, the path to success, the road to success, is paved with failure, time and time and time again. And really, successful people aren't afraid to fail. Finally, the seventh sign goes hand in hand again. They never quit. They never give up. A successful person will not stop. They will find a way. You know, if you put a wall in front of them, they'll climb over it. If they can't climb over it, they'll go around it. If they can't go around it, they'll find some explosives and blow it up, because they're not stopping. Do you understand? If you want to be successful, if you want the strongest sign, really, this is the biggest sign, just refuse to give up. Because that's the only way you can ultimately fail. When you quit, that's real failure. When you keep going, when you keep trying, doesn't matter how many times you fall on your face, there's still a chance. You gotta keep your hopes up, you gotta keep trying, and ultimately, that will always lead to success. Are you always expecting something? Mentally projecting into the future instead of actually being present and doing your best? Are you always trying to manipulate the outcome of certain situations so that you can be happy? Because the only way that you can feel happy is to get validation and approval from other people, or things have to go your way all the time. That's the only way you can feel good. Well, in that case, there's something deep inside that you need to address, and there's probably this hole that you're trying to patch up through your expectations and your mental projections. And what ends up happening is that you actually just make the hole even bigger. Because every time you expect something in the future, every time you expect somebody to do something a certain way so that you like it, so that you feel good about yourself, every time you expect things to go your way so that you can feel good about yourself, and they don't, or it doesn't, how do you feel? How do those expectations, those mental projections that you have, actually leave you once you end up realizing that you were expecting way too much, or your mental projection was totally off, or that you really had no realistic view of the situation? I struggled with this for a long time because I used to always have an idea of what was going to happen. I would always project into the future, always try to manipulate the outcome and hope for things to go a certain way, and I would be let down every single time. And if you resonate with this, then you know that it's not a nice experience, it's not fun, it doesn't feel good at all, and you need to get rid of it. Because quite honestly, it's a nightmare to keep living in the state where you're always waiting for salvation at some future point. And there is no salvation, and you know that by now. If you've been projecting into the future, maybe you didn't get the result that you wanted, whether that's on an exam, or on a date, or in your business, or a meeting with a client, or maybe you wanted to get a raise at work and they turned you down. The only way to really get rid of this is to let go of the need for something to fulfill you. And that can be really tough, because what I'm gonna need you to tell yourself, what I told myself, and what ended up shifting this and making the paradigm shift for me, was really taking on the philosophy and the idea and really believing that, hey, you know what? I'm good enough as I am. I approve of me. I validate me, and I actually feel good about me. And anything that might happen in the future, any success, or even failure, it doesn't determine who I am. It doesn't make me a better or worse person. You see, I'm still a good person no matter how I perform. Whether I perform amazing or whether my performance is terrible, I'm still the same Raphael. If this video sucks for you, that doesn't change anything for me. Because I'm making it because I want to make it. And I'm not expecting you to respond a certain way. But if I was trying to talk a certain way, or try to make you feel a certain way, try to manipulate so that you leave a nice comment and tell me about how great I am, it would be a nightmare. I wouldn't want to record, and definitely not every day like what I'm doing. You know, it just wouldn't happen, because you're always in a strain, you always feel tired, because you're trying to micromanage and manipulate those results. I need you to find peace with that you're okay as you are, and whether or not things go your way, you're still good. You're still a good person. It doesn't change anything. Let's say it goes well. Well, great. Great. You got what you wanted? Awesome. Congrats. Feels good, right? For a moment or two at least. And then it's on to the next thing. And now you're waiting for that to give you pleasure. Let's say it goes bad. My expectations weren't met. I'm unhappy, I'm frustrated, I'm angry. Maybe you even start pushing those emotions and getting frustrated with people around you. Maybe you shove it down and create some deep trauma for yourself that lasts for the rest of your life. Do you really want that? Or the alternative is, you know what? I'm good enough as I am. I'm happy with myself. I love myself. And whether or not this goes my way, it's okay. Just try that. Whether or not it goes my way, it's okay. Whether or not it goes your way, it's okay. It's okay. No matter what. Because you'll still be fine. And that's what most of us don't get, because we think if it doesn't go our way, then our life is ruined. Our reputation, our future, everything, it's just over. You know, if this one date doesn't go right, then I'm never gonna meet that perfect partner. I'm never gonna find love. Never, ever, 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 ever. This one date went wrong. Never find love. Of course that's not true. I went through a lot of bad dates before I got into an amazing relationship that's now lasted for over 5 years. So consider that you might have to go through a lot of failure to reach success. And when you're constantly putting those expectations up to win every time you go into a situation, you're blocking yourself, because the road to success is paved with failure over and over and over again, tripping over. How many times have I recorded a bad video? I did it every day for 6 months in a row before I made my first good one. I promise you, scroll down to the bottom of my channel, check out my first video, and you'll see the difference between that and now is a lot of failure. A lot of videos that didn't hit off. A lot of work that didn't really pay. And if I was sitting there saying to myself, I didn't get 3 million views, you know what? Never mind. Never mind. That was my expectation. I wanted 10,000 views or nothing. I'm just gonna leave. I'm gonna give up right now. I forgot about the numbers. I forgot about the results. And I just did it because I knew it was the right thing to do. And if you know it's the right thing to do it anyway. And if it's not, just let it go. Because those expectations, the only thing they will do in your life is harm you, make you feel bad, make you feel frustrated, make you feel unhappy, make you feel unsatisfied. You ungrateful little, right? Because you start to see everything as bad. You start judging everything you have in your life as less, instead of saying, hey, I'm grateful for what I have. I love what I have. I'm happy where I am. If I get that success, great. If I don't, keep working, keep trying, keep going. Not project into the future, hope for some result. If I don't get it, then you know what? There's no point to any of this anymore. Just never mind this whole thing. Give up on life. Suicide, right? What's going on? What are you expecting? Let it go. Stop projecting. Whether or not it goes your way, it's okay. You're still a good person. Still the same person. Even if you succeed, even if you fail, you're still the same person. It's just a situation. It doesn't make or break you. It doesn't make or break your life. You are so much bigger than that. Remember that one day you're going to die. That's an expectation. You're going to die. And at that point, everything will be stripped away from you. And the only thing you will care about is what kind of impact you made on other people, what difference you made, how much you cared, how much they cared about you. Love, compassion, sharing, contribution. Not, did I get the promotion? Not, did she or he say yes to me? That's not what you're going to be left with. All that money in your bank account, you don't get to take it with you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, you don't get to take it with you. That's it, it's done. It gets to stay here while you disappear. So live with that in mind. And perhaps you will understand that these situations aren't such a big of a deal, and that you are so much bigger and better than all of this. And that whether or not it goes your way, it's okay. Here are a few uncommon habits that contribute to massive success that you can put to use today. Number 1, making mistakes and being willing to make mistakes. Most people are afraid that if they fail, everything will be over for them. Like they won't have another chance at life, like they'll die. And that's as far from the truth as you could possibly get. When you fail, you're actually taking one step closer to success. Failing, it teaches you, it lectures you like no one ever could, and you need to fail if you ever want to have a chance at succeeding.
Then there's being authentic. Most people just aren't real with themselves or with the people around them. They like to trick themselves into feeling or thinking something that they don't actually feel or think, and they try to make other people see them in a certain way instead of just telling them how it is. If you don't like somebody, just don't spend time around them. Tell them that you don't want to be around them. If you don't like doing something, don't do it. And a lot of people use this excuse, well, I have to, otherwise I won't be able to pay the bills, or otherwise I'll just never get what I want. And it's not true. There are many ways, there are so many approaches, there are so many different methods that you can use to go about accomplishing your goals. So don't get stuck in that this is the only way mentality. Now here's something almost nobody in the world does, and the people who do reap the massive benefit. It's investing massively in yourself. I'm talking about a lot of money and resources. I'm talking about lots of your time spent reading books, getting coaching, getting mentoring, going to seminars, doing the things that nobody's willing to do. Most people will get a formal education and that's it. They never get a self-education, which is by far the most valuable and most important education if you want to make a lot of money and live a very happy life. Another highly uncommon habit is self-generating positive emotions. Most people rely on the other people around them or circumstances to make them feel good. Well, you can make yourself feel good. Just think about a happy memory or something that made you laugh, and instantly you'll start to smile. You'll laugh. Inside, you'll feel good all of a sudden. See, you don't have to actually look for something out there to make you feel good. It doesn't have to be that everything has to go your way. You can self-generate positive emotions, and when you're feeling good, guess what? More things go good and go well for you. Finally, I'll share with you that you must be more aggressive. Most people are too timid with their approach to life. They're just kind of tipping their toe in the water instead of jumping into that cold water and saying, you know what? Let's just see what happens. Most people, they'll tip their toe in, realize that it's cold, and give up. Jump in, take the leap, and learn from it instead of waiting, thinking, and not even giving yourself a chance at success.
How much time do you actually spend in the present moment? Right now, this moment. Are you actually here? Are you experiencing this video? The place that you're sitting, laying down, or standing at? Are you fully there? Are you taking in your environment? Are you paying attention to the birds singing or the sunshine glimmering in the background? Or are you tuned out? Are you thinking about your past? What happened to you when you were 8 years old? Or what happened to you yesterday? Or 8 weeks ago? Perhaps you're projecting your mind into the future. Maybe you're thinking about all the things that are going to happen, either in nervousness and anticipation and fear, or in joy, excitement, and love for what's coming in the future. Regardless, if you're doing one of those two, you're disrespecting the current moment. There is a certain beauty to right now. Right now is amazing, and it has so much to offer if only we'd take it up on it. Right this moment, you're missing out. If you're thinking about the future or the past, you're missing out on right now. And you're still right here, right now, but you're spending your time, you're spending your energy, your focus, projecting either into the future or the past. Remember that. No matter what you're thinking about, you're still only there thinking about it. You could actually be there experiencing it, but guess what? Now when you get to that future point, what are you doing? You arrive at the destination that you were projecting yourself to, and now you're there, finally at the massively anticipated event. Finally it happens, finally it's real, you're there right now. But now you're projecting to the next event, and the next event, and the next event, and so it goes on forever in a cycle. We're never here, we're just waiting for the next thing. And once we get to the next thing, we're waiting for the next thing. And once we get to that next thing, you know what happens. We're waiting for the next thing again. And at what point are you actually going to fully experience what's happening today, this second? Most people will watch this video with a bunch of other tabs open, or they'll be distracted thinking about something even as you're listening to me speak. Maybe you're having a thought. That's quite common. And what I want you to realize is that the longer you keep doing this for, the more of a habit it becomes. And for the rest of your life, you will be an overthinker. You will be somebody that's not present. It's a habit. It's a way of living. It's a choice. And by making you aware of this pattern, hopefully, I can give you the choice to say enough is enough. Because I realized I was living this way. I realized that everything was, once I get this, then I'll be happy. And I ended it. I put a stop to it. I said, what's fun about right now? What's enjoyable right now? Well, I'm in Norway right now, and it's kind of chilly. And I could project myself into the future because I'm about to go travel for a while, and it's going to be warmer. Great. I can think about that I'll be there and it'll be warm, and finally I'll be happy because it'll be warm. Or I could say, well, I realize, by the way, also that once I get to the warm place, I might complain that I'm sweating. So why not be grateful that the chill air is keeping me cool? I like it. It feels good on my skin. It's very fresh. It's very refreshing. And it also makes me more alert, more awake for some reason. I don't know why, but cold air has that impact on me. I can hear the crows crowing away. I can notice a lake in front of me that you might see in the next video after this one, or at some future point you will see it. It's a beautiful lake. You can see the beautiful field behind me, the sunshine, the clouds. It's amazing. It's incredible. There's a whole world here right now. And as I start to tap into that, as I become aware of that, I can tap more into my own presence, and I can realize that, wait a second, there's so much more that I can offer to the people around me, for you in this video. I can become more alive. I remember when I used to record videos back when I was just starting out, and the biggest problem wasn't that I didn't know how to speak or hold an audience or captivate. It was that I was in my head thinking about, oh, how many views will this get? And now I just don't care. And guess what? The views come. Doesn't mean that I don't put work in. Doesn't mean that I don't try. Doesn't mean you shouldn't strategize. There's a time and a place. But be deliberate. You see, most people, they're thinking by accident. Do you understand that? That's a very important idea to grasp. Are you thinking by accident or on purpose? Is your mind running rings around you? Taking you, looping you into the past, into the future? Creating negative emotional patterns? Or are you choosing? Are you saying, right now, I'm going to take 10 minutes to just think about my ideal day. What would I want to do with my life? Who are the people I want to spend time with? What are the things that are important to me? What activities? What exploration? Where do I want to go? Right? That's deliberate. That's on purpose. You made that happen. It didn't happen to you. I'm asking you to take control of your life and say, what do I want? When do I want to think? What do I want to think about? Is it the future? And if it is the future, great. Great. Think about the future, but on purpose, deliberately. You see, what happens in that case is that you start to pick and choose the thoughts that you want to have. And your thinking becomes higher quality. And now when you do spend time thinking, it's actually really productive. Think about it. How many thoughts have you had today that were actually helpful? Like genuine breakthrough thoughts that are taking you to the next level in your life, improving your relationships, making you feel incredible about yourself. How many of those? Versus how much negativity, how much self-criticism, self-judgment, how much of that do you really have going on? Once you realize, you'll notice that there's so much happening on that autopilot that's really not helping you whatsoever. Avoid that. Get away from that. End that by coming into the present moment, by using your surroundings. And even if you're in a room with 4 blank white walls, you can pay attention to the texture of the walls. There's always something to notice. Even just the lines on your hands, the color, the different shades of color. Just look at your hands right now and notice. We're all so unique, We're so special, but we take it for granted. But if you can notice, if you can become aware, you change the quality of your thinking. You start to train yourself to think higher quality thoughts. You think on purpose, you respect the now. And finally, you start getting more of what you want. And it's actually the key to unlocking your happiness.
Once you've already achieved some level of success in your life, in any area, it becomes rather easy to take the core principles for granted. If a team has won the championship based on a certain level of work ethic and really positive habits, if they don't maintain that for the next season, they're likely to flop and fail. And the same thing goes for individuals in all areas of our lives. If at some point you made 6 figures by following certain steps and you had certain processes in place and you had a high quality mindset when it came to your income and producing it, and all of a sudden you started making less, chances are you're not staying true to those core principles, those habits that get you the initial success. They're clearly effective. They work. The same goes for health. The same goes for relationships too. If you follow certain principles, if you have a good set of principles, you're very likely to succeed. On the other hand, if you don't have firm principles and good core habits, you're very likely going to fail. And that's why it's so important to examine and identify what are the core habits. If you look at a top performer in any industry, whether it's a footballer or if it's an artist, it doesn't matter, a business person, you'll see that they have habits that they stick by. They have certain routines that they don't change because this input creates the output that they want. And you have to master your input and get very clear on what it is that you do that gets you to where you want to go. When you identify those habits and you know what those routines are, it's much easier. Now you're not always fighting this uphill battle. You're not confused about what works, what doesn't work, and you're going to stay humble and true to these core principles instead of feeling like you're somehow above it because you achieved a certain level of results. See, when success gets to someone's head, as we like to say, it's usually that we take these core principles for granted. We think that we're above them. We think that we're above the processes that make us successful. We neglect them. We stop doing them because we're above them, right? And then we stop getting the success. And then we're bashing our head against the wall wondering, why isn't it working anymore for us? Maybe we're not in our prime anymore. Maybe, the opportunity has passed and we had our run and we already hit our peak and so there's no way to come back. But if you look at people that have really just consistently crushed it at a really, really high level, the Tom Brady's, the Cristiano Ronaldo's, the Messi's, right? In sports, you've got so many great superstars. And if you look at them, you'll always see that they're consistently maintaining that work ethic. They're always sharpening their axe. They're not just out there playing and raking in the cash and just focusing on the glamour. It's really being grounded in what got them there that keeps that level of success sustainable. And I want your success to become sustainable. I don't want you to be a flash in the pan, a little bit of a breakthrough and you get your first sale online or you finally win a competition, but then it just goes downhill from there. We don't want that. We want that sustained, consistent upward spiral and growth curve. And that only comes from identifying those core principles. So write them down, maybe drop them in the comments. What are the principles, the habits that you need to focus on that ultimately get you to where you want to go? What have you already done that has worked for you? Because certainly you've tried some things and had some level of success. Maybe you didn't go all the way with it. Maybe you quit prematurely and that's why you didn't achieve your goals. I know that for me, when I started counting my calories, my weight very quickly started going down. It was very easy to lose weight when I was paying attention and being mindful and really aware of calories in versus calories out and realizing what level I needed to hit to maintain. So the moment I stopped doing that, weight comes back on. So bling, 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 right? Hopefully an alarm goes off and you realize, wait, that worked. And when I don't do that, I don't get the result I want. Stick to it. It's effective. It works. Now, there are other principles in all areas of your life, and if you can really identify them, you've done yourself such a huge favor because for the rest of your life, it won't be this search and confusion and again, just this misunderstanding of what works and what doesn't work. Really get clear because it's very easy to confuse it, right? You might think, well, you ate this certain thing before a practice session and you did better and that's what caused it, when in reality, it was the fact that you meditated, wrote out your goals and other things that got you in the right mindset. So sometimes we think that external factors or some type of luck is involved when usually, again, To consistently perform at a high level, it requires solid routines. Find your routines, identify them. It's hard, it's overwhelming. It can be really heavy on you and taxing because it requires a lot of brain power to really narrow this down, but it's worth it. Put in that effort right now up front and watch as the rest of your life is so much easier, and you'll thank yourself later once you consistently achieve great results and continue to see yourself really just grow, evolve, and continue to perform on a very high level.
Biggest difference that I keep seeing over and over again between people that are making it, succeeding, achieving their goals, happy, fulfilled, and moving forward, and the people who are stuck, complain, just feel like there's no way out, get complacent, don't make progress, don't move forward towards what they want, is that the people who stay stuck, whenever they try to go and do something, whenever they have a goal, they almost instantly find 3 reasons why it's not going to work. Their brain by default is wired to look for excuses or validation that this idea or this thing isn't the right one. So it's not a character flaw in them, it's not something on the inside, it's clearly something is wrong with the strategy or the tactic, when in reality most strategies and most tactics actually work really, really, really well if you make them work really well. Give you an example. I used to think Instagram doesn't work for me in my business. This is not the tool or the platform for me. People's attention spans are too short. I'm just gonna stick with YouTube. And I had a great YouTube channel, but just recently I've been growing by about 2,000 followers a week on Instagram. So I got over my ego. I stopped telling myself that story. And on the other end, success. It goes for everything. It goes for whatever you want in your life. When you're telling yourself, oh, this thing doesn't work, or this is the wrong plan, or these are the wrong people, most often it's you. You're the problem. You're the issue. You're the person who's causing this silly pattern, going in circles over and over again, doing the same thing time in and time out, and expecting something to change. See, successful people, the way they think is, how do I make it work for me? How do I find a way to make this actually come through? Not why and what are the reasons for this not working? Not like who's gonna stop me or this isn't gonna work because X, Y, Z. They just go through all of that. They don't even think about it. Whatever you put your attention on will expand. So put your attention on solutions. I always think about how can I make it work? And ever since I started doing that, amazing things started happening more and more and more and more in my life. I recently got booked for a huge conference in Amsterdam. I'm flying out next month to go speak with, people like the head marketers of Red Bull and L'Oreal and other big companies. Now, I used to think that's impossible or that doesn't work or a 20-something-year-old could never be in that group or couldn't be a part of that. It's all possible. Anything you want is possible. Now, the question is, are you going to find reasons why it doesn't work? Are you going to tell yourself that it doesn't work for you? Are you going to find 3 excuses for why this is not going to be the right thing? Or are you going to move forward? Are you going to actually go achieve your goals, learn in the process, adjust, of course. It's never perfect the first time you try it. Even now, I mess up all the time. I probably messed up about 3 times in this video alone, but it doesn't matter because it's about moving forward and making progress, not about being perfect, not about getting everything right. The moment you obsess about that, you get in your head, you overthink everything, you make it too complicated, and you stay stuck. The reason why I've been able to succeed is because I continue to just move. It's okay if this is imperfect, it's okay if the lighting isn't right, if the tonality doesn't hit, or if I stumble over my words a couple of times, it doesn't matter. Because it's about making progress, not about making perfection. Successful people make progress every single day. Unsuccessful people stay stuck because they overanalyze, they overthink it, and they come up with reasons for why it's not going to work.